made an example of you?
Yes, it was an example, of course, because all the colleagues here in Germany who observed what happened to us, they will, in the future, they will think about that. They made an example, what happens to you when you try to do your journalistic work, which is very normal, which is your duty to do this job. And they showed the colleagues, the other journalists, what happens to you if you try that. We had very, very, very little support by the media. So, of course, because this media was slandering us, the German media, to 98%, they published the official story of the US government on 9/11. And so they didn't publish our story investigating 9/11, and also they didn't publish the story of our slandering, because this same media slandered us, So, and in this way the people they were not informed about our case, and so we were totally on our own in that case.
What brought you into 9/11?
Yes, I did a book about 10 years before 9/11 on fake terrorism in Germany. So I observed, together with some colleagues, a German terroristic group which was called RAF, Red Army Faction. And during our research we had the feeling that some of these murders, for example, which were assigned to the RAF, were not in reality performed by this group. So we invented a word for that in Germany, and we called that Phantomterrorismus. That means phantom terrorism. And we made this book in 1992, and then we forget about that for 10 years maybe. On the day of 9/11, I immediately knew what happened here, or I immediately had an imagination what could have happened here, that this could be again the concept of phantom terrorism, but this time not on a national level but on an international level, to control the global society, to steer the global society into new legislations, into new politics, into new wars.
Is there a grassroots movement developing in Germany around 9/11?
There are thousands and thousands of people who are writing emails, who are reading alternative internet services, news services, who are writing for internet pages, for web pages, and the people of Germany, if you ask them, they don't believe the official version of 9/11 at all. There were some polls here in Germany, and I think about 70% of the German people don't believe the official story of 9/11, and about 20 or 30% believe that the Bush government was in some way, in one way or the other, involved in 9/11.
Would you say there's a big contrast between the controlled German media and the German people themselves?
Yes, that's very interesting. We made also this observation during our problems here with the mass media, and we realized, of course, our crisis, because we had problems, we were slandered by the mass media, but we also realized a very large crisis of the mass media in Germany, but in the US also. I would call this a credibility crisis, because all the people here in Germany, millions and millions, they are feeling, hey, they don't telling us the truth about this and that. Sometimes it reminds me of the old DDR, or GDR, German Democratic Republic, where also the people had to read between the lines of their mass media. They never read the lines because they know that the lines were only lies, but they only read between the lines in order to try to get some part of the truth. And these conditions we nearly have also here in Germany now.
Where is all this going to go, you think?
Yeah, I think it goes exactly in that way which was proposed, for example, by George Orwell in his book 1984. This is really a sort of very, very detailed description of of our reality today here in Germany, but also in the US, I think. Totally controlled language, speech, controlled mass media, in the end the total controlled truth itself, and the controlled past, for example. They try to control the past, and in that way they try to control the people.
Unanswered Questions About 9/11, a 90-minute program originally broadcast on Japan's TV Asahi Network on September 11th, 2004.
10年前の今日、悲劇は起こった。
The 21st century, filled to the brim with hopes that many dreamt about. Who would have thought that it would begin with such tragedy? In the middle of a city, the most flourishing in the world, 3 years ago today, tragedy struck. Massive buildings of 110 floors that rose to the sky like a symbol disappeared suddenly from the face of the earth. Everyone looked up in shock at the sky over New York City. The eerie, dark cloud that rose skyward seemed to be an omen that a century of warfare was about to begin. The destruction of the World Trade Center and the attack on the Pentagon. These tragedies took the precious lives of 3,000 people.
They were acts of war.
America immediately began fighting back. Upon deciding that the culprits were Al-Qaeda, they attacked Afghanistan, where Al-Qaeda headquarters were located. Also, they moved into Iraq, giving the reason that it had weapons of mass destruction.
Human history given birth by evil designs and failures. Truth betrays common sense. It should not be like this. How did 9/11 happen?
Let's look at the movements of the day. 4 planes were hijacked. The first plane, American Airlines Flight 11, left Boston Airport at 7:59 a.m. It crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center 47 minutes later. The next flight, United Airlines 175, changed its course to New York and crashed into the South Tower. The third plane, American Airlines 77, changed its course as well to head south, and after low-level flying, crashed into the Pentagon. Finally, United Airlines Flight 93 is headed for Washington, but began rapid descent and crashed into rural Pennsylvania. All 4 planes moving at once would look like this. These are the 9/11 multiple terrorist incidents.
Emotional telephone calls were fabrications. This is terrible.